can sometimes be so powerful with the Kalista. What you lose with the Leona ban is that you can't use it with your Rumble pick, which is such a strong combo. You've see so much success. Now, they do actually take the Renekton here, and it's not necessarily going to be for Summit. Could be for Fate in the mid lane. He is 0-2 on it, but Renekton's just had a pretty bad season, so
yeah,
we'll chalk it up to that.
I think the one Renekton win was Summit. As long as it was within the boundaries of, you know, whatever the win rate was when we last saw it up here on the screen. So Set goes through, so Afreeca say, well, if you don't want to play Set, I guess we'll take it here second.
Yeah, that was another option to take instead of the Renekton. So now your jungler pick is so important for Liiv Sandbox. You need a jungler that can pair up with Renekton CC, do that follow-up damage. Diana, you know, in the early parts of the game, she does have some sticking power, right? But into a set, and since you've put this face up into whatever other laner they're going to put through here as Afreeca, sole laner, you don't have a lot of kill pressure early. You get a lot stronger later on, unless there is some very aggressive trading, right? And she gets that ability to get a kill. But a lot of other AP junglers, you know, have historically been a lot stronger with the Renekton than Nidalee, for example, which has fallen out quite a bit here outside of players like Peanut. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this pairing and this prio when they gave the set over.
I would have really liked the Nidalee, actually. Your ability to throw spears, keep people at distance. You can try to change your composition. The one issue with that is that, of course, you're not really trying to play a poke comp, right? You're trying to get something that works well with the Renekton, and also is going to be diving in with the Kalista as well. So you can see kind of the direction that they do want to go in here.
The Gnar ban is pretty smart for Afreeca. Take that one away from Summit. This is kind of going down the same vein that expecting to see the Renekton in mid for Fate. See if they target another top laner here. Would not actually hate a Gwen ban, actually. Considering I don't think Afreeca want to run that in their composition. Doesn't really suit the set style with Rumble all too well. You do have some long-range poke and you can engage with it, but they'll take away the Nocturne, which was something that went through the draft last game that you and I were pretty surprised by.
Yeah.
And it works very well with the Diana, as mentioned.
This time around, they're not going to leave it up. Will be denied. Are we just going to go ahead and pick the support? Yes, we will. So it will be Alistar that comes in here. Can be very nice for doing stuff kind of like what we saw from the Lee Sin in the last game. By the way, the Lee Sin's still available here.
Fly has not played Sylas yet this season. Very complicated champion to play extremely well, and you do have to have very fast decision making in order to pull it off. They'll pick the Nautilus first and continue to think about that final soul lane choice, because I mean it is very powerful. You do have the Alistar ultimate to steal, which is extremely potent, but
there's a lot of great ultimates on their side.
But with great power comes great responsibility, Valdez, and a lot to put Fly to put under Fly's belt here.
Yeah, and also you don't necessarily want to blind pick it into the top side. So Afreeca actually will take away the Lee Sin. You were expecting Keen to hop onto that one.
Yeah, 100%. Fly's going to be on the set again. And this composition makes sense. The one outlier for this comp for Afreeca is the Rumble pick, because there is not that much great follow-up for the Equalizer. There's not a lot of great setup outside of the Nautilus for it either. The Sylas will actually go the other way here, and you know, he's got a lot of great ultimates to steal from the side of Afreeca. And stealing the Lee Sin ultimate actually means that you have so much disengage too against this style of play. I personally really like the Liiv Sandbox comp a lot more. Renekton's going to end up going in the top lane in this case. Sylas will match up against the set. And with the Renekton and the Sylas here, I think Diana has two great options in terms of ganking and getting that big play to come through. It's a lot more powerful when you actually have that Sylas as your final pick here with the Diana. Yeah, a lot of AP damage, but the CC that you have on both lanes means that she'll always have an opportunity to ping pong between the top and mid lanes whenever there's too much of a push there.
Absolutely. And, you know, we already saw a lot of action in the early laning phases in game number 1, but I think we might even get even more in this game. As we're seeing the new comps come through, They're different, they have different champions, but a lot of the time in this meta, guys, it's the same feel, right? We find enemy champions, we engage in all at once, and every champion here does want to do exactly that once again.
Yeah, you're going to definitely be looking to front-to-back team fight very carefully as Afreeca with this comp. You have champions that can potentially get in the backline and get a pick. You can go ahead and Killer Instinct in, but you have to remember that there's so much CC on the other side that engaging that way at the beginning of the fight is usually not the answer. You want to use it to clean up the fight, as this is going to operate very differently than what we saw last game for Leo. Because you have a set, but he can initiate a fight, he can pin down one player, but when he goes in, he will never have an out. He will never have an exit. Like, he will be trapped.
Yeah.
So you actually have to use the set very defensively against this style of play, because Liiv Sandbox have a comp that goes in very aggressively against you, and using his Facebreaker and his Showstopper defensively, I think, is going to be the way to do it if you want to win those extended front-to-back team fights with the damage output you have with the Rumble.
Well,
those chains don't make any sound when they drag on the ground. I think that's a little bit weird.
Yeah. Also, Nautilus, he just walks and no sound is made. Like this gigantic behemoth from deep underneath the sea with a gigantic anchor that he carries. No sound.
I just like to think these champions are really adept at being very quiet.
They're like tiptoeing through the forest.
Tiptoes. He does not bump his arms into his chest or into his sides, and Fate holds the chains very lightly so that they're not to drag very loudly.
Yeah. Set is just floating through. It only makes a gigantic noise when he punches something. We truly are living in an anime.
11.12, 1 and 10 now. So Summit will see if he can pick up the win. I'm not 100% sure if that was his win. Well,
yeah, that's what I was wondering before. I'm like, oh, he did get one win, but I'm not sure. Maybe that was on 11-1.
Yeah, I think Khan also got a win on it. I think we have 2 wins total this season. 1 on each patch, if I'm not mistaken. Just kind of pulling this out of my brain. So take it with 2 grains of salt.
It's better that you pull it out of your brain than somewhere else.
That's what I remember anyways.
Yeah. It's just, you know, I thought maybe you were going on a different path with that one.
Did not pull it out of a stats notebook.
Nope, okay, that's good. Good news. As Krako is going to be spotted here as Dread, all the while we're talking about tiptoeing through the forest, we are getting a lot of action actually on the aggressive side of things. As at least Krako will be able to get his blue buff. But let's see where the Rumble goes here. And exactly how aggressive. He could just return to his own jungle. There's a ward that would have spotted him if he wanted to get really frisky and get into the enemy Krugs.
Yeah.
He will just go back.
Can be pretty passive here. There's a lot of trading on the top side of the map. Keen does not hit the Q, so that's going to be into that. Need to get this cannon minion. But on the bottom side of the map, you can see that Callista is you know, once again, having a great time. This is how the early game goes, so that prio remains the same here for Prince. As...
Yeah, I liked the try there, the attempt from Summit to try to go in when Keen was on low energy. But Keen actually positioned that perfectly well. He was right out of the distance of the dash. Those are the little things that, you know, we don't always zoom in on, but sometimes you notice them, and that's why these guys are insanely good, especially Keen.
Well, Dread's going to look to make a play up here. Going to steal these Krugs first. Really sell the idea. Really great check here from Summit.
Yeah, great idea.
Super incredible timing there.
Question is, does it save him anyway? I mean, we have a teleport coming in. Look at Fly's position. The teleport now from the Sandbox is late, but they're still gonna wait to lay this one back away. They're actually gonna just take down Fate. He goes in and dies, and now Fly is gonna easily haymake and tank that one up as Dread will flash. And that is a 2-for-0 for Afreeca.
What a fantastic start for Afreeca here. You lose your teleport as Fate on top of it all. And now Keen is gonna push this in. Force a teleport to come through from Summit, so you're going to get even more teleport value across the map here. Summit has to respond to this. He's going to lose way too many minions and potentially even a turret plate. You don't even get a choice here. And this is a fiery start. The late teleport there from Fate really comes back to bite him. It's so easy to turn.
And they just waited for him. They're like, wait, you're Silas and you're level 4. You really want a piece of all 3 of us? The answer was Well, it should have been, no.
Certainly not, but, you know, you don't get to cancel those anymore.
Yeah.
I think we're going to watch it one more time. As a teleport comes through here, and then the teleport from Fate is so late.
Watch, they just
Kick. Summit was pushed away, and then go in on top of him. And Fly has Haymaker. He's obviously going to be very tanky. Dread's forced to flash to make sure he doesn't get hit by that last turret shot, but it's a really easy turn there. It's just a miscalculation. If he comes in right away and sets up the stun, actually he could turn that. But he hesitated for just a moment. Yeah, that's all it takes to really turn the tides.
And this is allowing Dread, now 2-0, to basically do whatever he wants. As there's not a lot of vision on the bottom river. They don't know exactly if this dragon is being taken, but they can kind of assume it. But you can see how passively Summit has to play, not having a lot of vision himself. They have the one ward in by the Gromp. And of course, now that the dragon is taken, they will know that they were all down here. But it's still, the top lane is kind of in shambles now for Liiv Sandbox, and the jungle might be able to feel this as well.
I mean, Keen has his level 6 here. Someone needs to be very careful about how he stands right now.
Yeah.
Does get 6 of his own, though, with that wave. Great respect shown from Keen. You know, like, this is a Renekton that is going to struggle to actually get value in these upcoming skirmishes, these upcoming objective fights. They've already lost the first Drake. This is really bad news. That's the one champion you do not want to have get behind early. Well, two, really, the Renekton and the Sylas, that are both a victim of really bad rotation here from Fate.
Yeah.
That's a ton of extra money going over to the Rumble, too, which is going to scale extremely well that damage into these team fights, the front to back that Afreeca is going to be looking for here.
We haven't even really looked at the bottom lane, but it's just going perfectly even. So at the end of the day, there's not even like, okay, Liiv Sandbox's bottom lane is getting really far ahead. Maybe they can trade back some of the map gold by their good bottom lane. Nothing like that, as instead they're trying to make an aggressive play onto Keen here, and I don't mind this at all. As Dominus comes in, Keen immediately knows that something is afoot. As up comes Krako, and here's effort as well against the headbutt. Misses the pummel, and actually the auto not going to come in, and the equalizer is here as well, as Krako now has to get away from this one, and 3v1. They could not take down Keen.
And the auto not coming through. Keen is just so slippery. He's able to get out of there with that extra dash, and this is fantastic for him. So many resources spent to actually come up there and look for a kill, and you don't get anything else on the map. You know, you don't have any control over the bottom lane. There's no objective to push for right now here, so the prio isn't going to matter as much. But, you know, like you were saying, it's been an even lane, but that's not how it's supposed to go. Now it's actually, you know, Prinsu has to sit back under turret here to farm. We're not getting any value. We'll watch this one more time. As Summit goes in, the kick is used onto him immediately, but you only have one of those, right? And look at where he decides to go. Keen here rotates over. Hummel misses right after this. Or the Pulverize misses there, and is not able to get it up. Keen just gets out with the equalizer here. You can't chase even one step further because you're under turret aggro. You have no minions.
Oh, and now that he has survived, and Summit doesn't have his flash either, he's got help from his jungle and from his mid lane. They have priority everywhere on the top side of the map, so Keen gets to do whatever he wants. Fly gets to do whatever he wants. Same for Dread. They can just take any objective they want. Dread has more CS than Fly and 2 kills. It's just, it's really nice here from Afreeca. They have a fantastic lead. We might not get as close of a game of game number 1, but we'll have to wait and see how Liiv Sandbox come back. And also this means that we get a game 3, so.
Yeah, if it continues this way, it certainly seems pretty likely that that's where we're headed. Now, I could see a world where on this next objective fight, Liiv Sandbox turn things around. Fate's going to have his teleport up soon. Summit will not have his quite in time. It's going to be close. But you have to consider that Liiv Sandbox does have a really strong skirmishing comp. You know, they have this Fate's Call with an Alistair. He's going to have level 6 in this fight. I'm extended trading with the bait, but Fly is not going to continue to push any issue here once they hit that CS. But, you know, the composition of Liiv Sandbox can absolutely crush in this early game if it's given an opportunity to do so. But if you look for the fight here, you try to contest this Drake, and you fail and give a further gold lead over, especially to this Rumble, then it's like the game is practically over at that stage. If you can get some money, though, to Sylas, You can get some money to this Diana, these champions that need items to actually get ahead in the tempo of the mid game. Then there's a chance that Liiv Sandbox come back here. This is not a lost game by any means, but this next team fight is so important.
Yeah. Especially now at this point where Rumble, yes, he has a lot of gold in him, and that's actually where a lot of this lead is coming in. Also, you have the CS difference, of course, from Keen and some of the assists that are coming through. But he doesn't have a stopwatch yet. He's not very tanky, obviously, the Rumble, so maybe you can just burst him down before the fight even really begins. If somebody gets out of position, you get a catch with all of the abilities on the side of Liiv Sandbox to do that. There is an opportunity to potentially turn that around, but we might see this gold lead balloon even further with the Rift Heralds here potentially coming in.
Summit avoids the Q here. Kroko was waiting. Rift Herald's going to go down. Summit will have teleport. I want to see what Fate decides to do here. He's actually kind of stuck under turret, so he can't come up here and help. This is going to be a lot of extra gold going over to Keen, and they can't stop him. They have bot cryo, but they do not have mid control, so they can't turn this into a faster defensive setup on the Drake. Oh no.
It's okay, he's Alistair.
And she's Callista. They won't have to use her ultimate though.
Yeah. And even so, I mean, it's gonna make it awkward for the bottom side, but even if Effort doesn't take a big chunk of damage there, I think still Afreeca, with the pressure that they have on the map, they can just mosey on down to the Dragon, take this one down without much of a hitch. Although Effort is going to try to make a play here. Leo is going to ultimate away. Killer retreat on that one as the teleport now is getting in onto Lehens. The damage is here as Fly going for the follow-up engage, takes down Effort, and that is a huge burst. And Summit, he's trying to frontline, but he's not tanky right now. He's going to have to back away from that one. So a 2-for-1 and the Dragon in favor of Afreeca.
Afreeca with such a massive lead now, and this is exactly what I was afraid of for Liiv Sandbox. You look for the fight, but you can't take it. And this is such a scary play to try to make right now.
Here he goes. Trying to go in there is Keen. He's trying to bait them into a fight 4v5. Nearly successful there as Dread almost follows up.
Got to be so careful right now as Fate and Kroko here. Effort's going to return to the battle, and that will be the end of this. But they walk out with 4,000 gold in the lead, and that second Drake, so much of a tempo advantage comes with this. But the moment Liiv Sandbox decided they were going to reset before this fight, they had essentially given up the Drake. They weren't going to be able to take that fight realistically with the bot lane going back, even with the interrupt on Effort, which made things even worse. And yet they still decided to group for it. Like, look at where everybody on Liiv Sandbox is when the Drake is almost dead here. And then you decide to go in regardless with a Fate's call. But where's the damage ever going to be here? Yeah, Fate teleports in. Lehens has his flash. And you can't win this fight anymore. And Fly does go down for it when he does get the crazy long-range Haymaker kill. But this is such a big win for Afreeca. They want to snowball a fight like this. They want to snowball their gold lead. And now it's a 3-0 Rumble. And he's getting closer to getting that stopwatch online.
Harvester.
Yeah.
He's almost wishing he picked up the Dark Seal a little bit earlier, but it's still going to be really oppressive, this Rumble. You know, at some point you can say, oh, maybe we can burst him down, but you're also maybe even going to die yourself with the Flame Spitter, the amount of damage that's going to be coming out from the Rumble. Some crazy stuff can happen, and it's a really healthy lead here. Every lane is ahead at this point, including the bottom side.
See a ping coming down here. Fly's going to try to rotate over, potentially look for a dive here on this turret. He's got his showstopper up. It's a really nice timing for Kroko to come over here too. They might actually just now contest for the blue. Nope, just gonna toss a ward in. Very calm, not gonna fight. Uh-oh, Summit, what are you doing over here?
Yeah, he's a little bit caught. He's gonna use that second dash to get over the wall, but not before he takes a huge amount of damage. Now trying to kite this one out. They have the Diana coming down. They absolutely want to get in here. Nice buffer on the dredge line, but it might not matter as the red damage is massive. It was like 20 Rens into that guy.
It was definitely, I thought, as well as it could have been handled by Lehens regardless there with the buffer as you mentioned, but that's a nice kill back here. Plates have faded away, so it's not going to be any extra gold going over to Prince, who still does not have his Mythic yet. And Liiv Sandbox looks so desperate to skirmish right now. They're trying to force any fight they can. They try to get some extra gold over to these champions that are so reliant on it. The Diana and Sylas in particular really need money right now badly. But you have to be really careful about pushing over the edge. Now this is definitely not one of those times. Ends up stopping the dredge line here before it connects. Buffers the second one, of course. But look at the Ren damage, as you mentioned. It's like, oh, goodbye. So much damage.
So what happens when you get that many attacks in, and Afreeca with total control over the map, they're going to take down the Rift Heralds. Sandbox, they don't even get to see this happen because they have no vision. Their one ward, it seems, is on the Dragon. They also have a control ward in their own jungle, and that is about it.
Diana has 1 assist this game, not able to find any ganks. We were talking about the lockdown, the CC you have with the Sylas, with the Renekton, and that it can empower her early if she gets a gank kill, gets a second one, gets those items online. She does have her rocket belt now, which makes her a lot more powerful, but she's so far away from being able to afford Azonias. She may just have to buy a stopwatch next year for this upcoming Drake fight. She just went back, so we'll see if she did in fact buy that once this gold screen disappears, but it's looking really dire for Liiv Sandbox because they could not pull off the last one. They had a bit of a, she did buy the stopwatch. They had a little bit of a positional disadvantage, but they're going to have that same positional disadvantage this time. They're going to have to walk through this choke point against a fed Rumble.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to find whatever angle they can possibly get, but at this point in time, it's a little bit difficult effort. He didn't know what was on the other side of that wall. He's trying to survive here with the Unbreakable Will, but the damage is just too much. And without an Alistair, good luck having a front line. Good luck trying to engage onto this. Everything on the side of Afreeca is still available.
Yeah, just because you have 2 control wards in that brush doesn't mean you could see what's in the other brush.
Yeah.
They just didn't have any vision whatsoever. He was trying to check for that. He dies. Liiv Sandbox don't get the fight they were looking for. Even with the committal to the stopwatch here for Croco, there was some potential. Just going to steal the equalizer to clear the wave.
And that's the real equalizer. Actually doesn't get that much value. Tries to zone them away. Someone actually will pop his ultimate.
I thought it was actually a pretty good use of the hijack there to keep the turret alive.
Yeah.
Pretty creative, I guess you could say. As Liiv Sandbox are so far behind right now that there isn't really a great game plan anymore, because before they were just looking to try to force fights, and they were able to get that pick right onto Lehens, but he baits them in so well. There's no vision there. Effort's like, oh, if I can catch him. And he's thinking probably if there's someone else in that brush, I can get a 2-man knock-up, and then we could still win the fight, but there were way too many players there and way too much damage. And, you know, you can look for plays like that, right? Like, maybe we 3v1 him there. Maybe we 3v2. We can get some money. We can come back into this game. But even that timing is past.
Yeah. I mean, Dread got a stopwatch now, so good luck trying to take him down. He is level 11. And he's doing very nicely for himself with all the items that he's taken down. Even picking up the Oblivion Orb up against Renekton and Sylas. Very well done. Even the Callista. But either way, I mean, he's just massive at this point in time. And yeah, I mean, this one isn't going to be as competitive as game number 1, but just like I said, at least we get a game number 3.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of volatility in the LCK. We've seen a lot of comebacks, you know, with this meta and the combos that can happen with, you know, champions like Diana, where teams who are behind catch up. But I think this is almost too much of a deficit, really, to expect that that's going to happen. But it's not over till it's over. Liiv Sandbox will have one opportunity to group up for one more objective fight here. Right now it's grouping up for blue. And they don't have enough vision to actually feel safe to take it.
Yeah, they don't even really have control over their own jungle, so blue will go the way of Dread. And there's still 2.5 minutes until this Drake does spawn, so definitely a lot of time to just farm up, try to hit your item spikes before you feel forced to get into a fight.
Yeah, Diana wanted to go back and upgrade boots. She's gonna have to stay here now.
Okay, well, Summit just pushes a little bit too far forward, gets kicked into 2 members. This is what happens when you have zero vision, is you always have to either play super passively or you're just going to die, right? If anyone's on the other side of that, sometimes you have to call the bluff, and sometimes you die when you do exactly that.
I mean, it's hard as Liiv Sandbox because if you just decide to walk away from every fight like this, how will you ever catch up?
Yeah. Not an easy feat, or an easy ask, I should say, by any means. But they're just going to do this. They're just going to farm lanes, push them out, try to farm out their jungle. See what they can do in terms of trying to come back in this game. Sylas from behind, always a little bit sad. Sometimes you can make big plays because of the ultimates that you can steal. But Fate hasn't really been given an opportunity to get anything like that done this time around.
And that's the thing. Afreeca have played so well around vision. Their control of the map has been so good with the lead they have. And the fact that they have a composition that has some hard engage in it too is...
Oh, no.
No vision.
Yeah, at least they have Fate's call.
Yeah, he gets out, but like, these are skirmishes that sometimes you can take. You know, if you're in an even footing, you're actually happy to Fate's call and then actually re-engage. Like, Fate comes through, you know, he gets into the fight, gets a stun. When you watch the Everfrost come down, there's a lot of ways that this composition could, on even footing, actually take a situation like this and play it into a good one. But because of all the vision control, Liiv Sandbox has never really had any opportunities to put this Sylas into good use, to put this Renekton into good use in the mid game. And we're kind of reaching the end of the mid game now as Summit will have to go over the wall. He's followed.
But this time around, the rest of Liiv Sandbox is there. So actually, it's Keen that has to be careful, even though he is 5 levels up on the enemy support. Just not going to overextend at this point in time. And Afreeca playing it smart means that we do get a little bit of a lull in the action because Liiv Sandbox, they've been shown multiple times, time after time, that they can't actually get in here. Not sure about this one, Keen, trying to turn this one around, but actually ends up baiting them into a really big equalizer. A lot of Liiv Sandbox just out of this one. They're trying to get into the backline. That is a big Diana ultimate, but is it going to matter is the question, as Leo will survive. Fate desperate to try to take him down. There's Prince here jumping around, but that's not going to be enough either. This is going to be a clean ace to the side of Afreeca, as Spy will put the last punch, the last nail in the coffin for this game.
There's just no follow-up damage, you know? When the engage comes through, you don't have anything. I mean, look at the items here for Croco. He's got a Codex and a Rocket Belt, so even when he hits the Moonfall, it's not amazing. And this was actually a really great play from Keen. It looks overzealous at the moment when he does it, but he actually has the safeguard out. And what he's done is he's been able to identify the front line as overextended, and he can separate Summit from the squishy backline. So when this fight happens here, imagine if there's a Dominus on top of this. There isn't, though. There isn't any follow-up damage. Prince is trying to do what he can. Extremely low range here in the back part of this fight. But once the Renekton's gone, there just isn't anything that can stick on top of the Moonfall to write home about. You know, if you had a fed Sylas, then the fight also looks different, or if you had Diana with more items, then the fight looks different, but it just is not meant to be with no Renekton here. It all falls apart, and that was a really good play from Keen to make sure that he gets the Renekton caught. The follow-up was great from Dread, too. Like, the equalizer was perfectly placed. And you can't just walk away from that as Liiv Sandbox. You do have to try to fight, like we've been saying all game long.
Yeah.
It's sad to watch them lose, and it's easy to poke fun at a team that's trying so hard but losing at every turn. But the reality is they have no options anymore besides to try.
Yeah, I mean, if you fall behind and your Diana's not scaling, your Sylas isn't scaling, you've also got a Callista and a Renekton that haven't exactly been able to win their lanes. There isn't much hope. All you can do is try to group up as 5 and catch someone out of position. But Afreeca have been clean. They haven't offered any chances over to the side of Afreeca, or rather, Liiv Sandbox. So here with the Baron now, they'll be looking to push down these turrets pretty early on in this game. It's only 24 minutes in.
Just grouping up right now. And there's not much Liiv Sandbox can do to stop this push. They have, you know, Keen to deal with in the mid lane. No one can deal with him alone right now. So he gets free push. Like, Summit's going over there. Not to mention that Keen has teleport, so he can always rejoin if he just steps out for a moment. So they can't actually really try to chase Afreeca Freecs right now. As you can see, Summit is trying his best to dim the bleeding here and slow this down, but there's no way he can get anywhere near Keen, or he will just die. And Fly is perfectly positioned to prevent any sort of rotation. Now he can engage.
Well, Effort's going to give it a, you know, the old college try, but it's not going to work out very well. I suppose they got the equalizer out of Rumble, which will be up in the next 15 seconds. But it's about as good as you're going to do down 12,000 gold.
If you stay any longer, too, Fly engages and you get wiped and lose the game. But because you couldn't do that and you walk away, you're still losing the game slowly here. Like I said, no options really for Liiv Sandbox anymore. 11,000 gold down. The walls are closing in. Feels like a game 3 is on the horizon.
Yeah. Here we go. Fly's going to find the Renekton. Nice stun on the front line. And in goes Leo for the assassination, going to take down the Croc. Effort desperately trying to help his team here, but he cannot do that. Afreeca going to take the lives of 2, basically for free. And they should just move into the mid lane and take down this game.
Very clean game here from Afreeca. Not the back and forth we saw in game 1. Not the close, tense, non-stop team fighting. Unfortunately, Silas and the Renekton.
Yeah, Summit decides that, okay, I'll take the bullet for you. And it's not going to save his life anyway, as Mr. President will go down. As here will be the turrets that get taken down as well, and that's going to be the Nexus falling here 26 minutes into the game, as Afreeca at no point in this one felt any unsafety, as they will secure it and bring us to a game number 3.
No pressure on them whatsoever. The Diana, the Renekton,